Hello and welcome to Guns and Gear. You know, I love the zombie topic. It's a lot of fun to imagine what it would take to survive in a zombie apocalypse. And MrJimboFox for the last couple of years has kind of coordinated other channels to make a video that we kind of release at Halloween on the zombie apocalypse survival kit. And I'm sure you've seen, or you will see, some entries from several channels, and it's just fun. You know, I enjoy it. So this year, when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, I got to thinking to myself, you know, what about the older generations? What about the generations of World War I, World War II? What would they have used in the zombie apocalypse? You know, I love a lot of the old horror movies, but I don't really recall too many movies of those time periods, the 20s, the 30s, 40s, that covered the zombie apocalypse. Maybe because there was just no chance of something like that succeeding. You know, those were tough people, and they were badass, and probably the zombies knew better to mess with them. So I thought I'd go over some of the equipment that might have been made available to those generations and go through some of that with you right now. Now, you know, this is the Guns and Gear channel, so I'm going to show you some guns. So first off, let's talk about a rifle. Okay, that's right. Here it is right here, baby. This is the M1 Garand, and this is a fine battle rifle. It's in 30-06, not no puny 223 or little AK round. This is a man's round right here. And I know what you may be saying. Yeah, but what about the 308? The 308 is almost as good as a 30-06. That's right, baby. Almost as good as a 30-06. This was a heavy gun, wood, steel. This was a man's gun. And I'll tell you what, it's got a bayonet on it. This is a World War I, Springfield 1903, World War I issued bayonet. It's long, it's nasty, it's what you need to hold off the zombies when they get too close. You know something? Those older generations, they were badass. And if you can't run with the big dogs, stay on the porch. Shotguns. Did they have shotguns? Of course they did. Double barrels like this right here protected home and hearth in pioneer days right up to today. It's a fine weapon. It's very effective. Now this is a 10 gauge double barrel. That's right, not no puny 12 gauge. This is a 10 gauge. You know why? Because those older generations, they were badass, and they had a motto: go big or go home. Submachine guns. Did the older generations use submachine guns? They invented them. That's right. This is the Thompson submachine gun, and it's in 45 ACP. Not no puny Tech 9. No. We had, back then, we had the OBAGs. That's right. The original badass gangster. Not no gangstas. No, these guys knew what it needed to get the job done. 50 round drum, 45 ACP, baby. This is made of heavy wood and steel, but they didn't mind because they had the tool to get the job done. Now you might be thinking to yourself, that's just not enough firepower, man. It's just not enough firepower. But we are talking about the older generations. We're talking about folks that defined what badass is. And they knew what firepower was, and they would have had it. That's right, baby. Browning, 30 caliber air-cooled machine gun. Ha. This baby right here weighs a ton. But they didn't complain about ounces. They carried pounds because they knew what they needed to get the job done. Those older generations, they were badass. And if you can't run with the big dogs, stay on the porch. Well, how about handguns? Those older generations, they loved John Moses Browning's 1911s. That's right, 45 ACP. I had an older gentleman tell me one time, hey, if you can't kill it with a 45 ACP, then call in for an artillery strike. Those old school players, they didn't mess around. And you know why I have two of them? Because it's simply cool. Awesome. Now you've heard me talk about machetes for the zombie apocalypse, and you've probably seen some other people talk about machetes. But what would them old school generations use back in the day? Well, they might have used something like this right here. That's right, this is a U.S. military bolo. This is World War I issue, 13.5 inches of thick steel, heavy, durable. You can really get the job done if you need to hack off a zombie head. No playing around here, nothing but serious stuff. How about regular knives? Do you need them? Of course they do. They would have had them back then too. Here's an example. This right here, this is the Q knife, the quartermaster's knife. Some people consider this about the most rugged knife they used in World War II. Look at that pommel. It's thick, it's heavy, it's metal. It's made for hammering down tent pegs. They had durable equipment back then. No plastic knives and sheaths, steel, leather. They knew what they needed to get the job done. How about protection? You didn't see them guys running around with a bunch of Kevlar and ceramic plates? Nah. All they had was a big old steel pot to put on their head. They probably would have used it in the zombie apocalypse too. Well, I could tell you that this big old steel pot provided some protection. I could tell you that they could boil water with it, you know, cook food, maybe just do their laundry. You know what though? They've seen some young punk kid who spends all his time playing video games and thinks a 22 long rifle can conquer the planet. They probably would have just took this helmet off and beat the crap out of him. You know why? Because that older generation, they were badass. And if you couldn't keep up, go home. Grenades. Yeah, they had them. They used them. All right. I would imagine that they could use these against the zombie hordes, or maybe, just maybe, they just use them to blow your door down. Because that older generation, they were badass, and they didn't believe in knocking. Canteen mess kit. Man, look at this quality. Look at this. This is metal. This has lasted for generations. They knew they needed tough equipment to get a tough job done. Look at this old canteen, 1943. Look at it. Excellent quality. Metal, heavy. They didn't complain about ounces. They knew they needed quality stuff to do a quality job. Food. Of course they had to have food. Everybody needs food. But you know what? That older generation, they were tough. Look at this right here. Just a can of baked beans. That's all they would have needed. I think that's all the Marines carried with them when they took Iwo Jima. Just one can of beans. And this ain't no vegetarian beans either. No sir, this has got brown sugar and bacon. You can't conquer a nation without bacon. Compasses. Did they need them? Of course they did. I tell you what, they had to have compasses. This one right here, this is one like my uncle said he had in World War II. He was in the original 101st Airborne Division when they first started it up. He made every jump that they made in World War II. That was pretty cool. You know what? You know what he told me? Back then, those paratroopers were so tough, they didn't even have parachutes. They just jumped out of the plane, landed on the ground, and started kicking ass. Medical supplies. You gotta have them. Every generation has made medical supplies. Those generations, they had medical supplies too. This right here, this is a kit that would have everything that they needed for any medical situation. One Band-Aid. And if that didn't take care of the medical situation that you were in, then they just hand you a single action 45 and say, take yourself out. We don't have time to mess with you. You know why? Because this gun right here was good enough for John Wayne, it's good enough for you. Those older generations, they were badass. Yeah. And if you couldn't run with the big dogs, stay on the porch. How about tools? How many times have we seen zombie apocalypse kits of any kind? They got a Leatherman. You think those folks back there in them days would have used a Leatherman? No way. You think those folks back then would have used a Swiss Army knife? They would have laughed. No, because they understood you needed tools to get the job done. You want a screwdriver? Here's a screwdriver that won't break on you or fold up on your hand. Hey, here's a saw that you can actually use to cut wood. How about this for a pair of channel locks, huh? Gotta have the right tools for the job. Adjustable pipe wrench. It's big, it's heavy. You can use it as a weapon or as a tool. Here's a file. If you need a file, then use a real file. Don't use some little flimsy file that's on a pocket knife that looks like it was designed to use on your wife's toenails. They understood. You needed big tools to do big jobs. Well, that's my video, folks. Thank you for watching. I tell you what, even though I'm doing a lot of joking around here, the sad part about it is the World War I generation is almost completely gone. The World War II generation, well, they're vanishing quickly. And if you run across some of these older folks, when you see them out and about, maybe you should go up to them and thank them. Thank them for everything they did in World War I. Thank them for the sacrifices that they endured in World War II. Making it through the Depression. Wow. Building those big projects, those tunnels, those bridges, those interstate highway. They did so many big things. The big dams that we had that provide the water for many of our communities. They truly were generations of folks that worked hard and they did big things. Thank them for standing up to tyrannical corporations, which had no way would they ever would have given you a day off, much less two. A 40-hour work week. Sick time. A holiday. Thank them for forcing companies to provide you a safe workplace. They raised this country to great heights, so thank them for that. And then apologize for messing it all up. This is Guns and Gear. You take care, and remember, go big or go home.